It's monthly Mormon Mondays. It's time for the secret handshake. Tune in and reach through the veil. It's time for monthly Mormon Monday.
Monthly Mormon Monday, special Joseph Smith Friday edition, I guess. I don't know. We need a better name for each day of the week, but
I
this is
know.
Paranoid American here. That's Heidi Love from Unfiltered Rise. How you doing?
Good. I'm glad we're back. It's been more than a month, but hey, it's not Monday and it's not monthly. We just get here when we get here, guys. So we're doing our best.
This is whatever Mormon, whatever. We're doing it. We
Yeah.
didn't go anywhere. Yeah. Sometimes life comes up. And today,
Yes.
since the last one was pretty dark, we were talking about satanic panic and satanic cults and like all of that within the Mormon religion. And honestly, the list of topics that we can get into, it keeps getting darker and darker. And I just found some new cults, like the
So
Children
bad.
of the Lamb of God or something. And you were like, oh,
Yeah.
that's somewhat new. So we'll get into that too. But we wanted to have just one light episode before we get real crazy. So today we're
Gonna
talking
get
about
crazy. Yeah.
Mormon dating culture. And just to be clear, the only thing I know about Mormon dating culture is you're not allowed to, and then the movie Saturday's Warrior. And I assume that that's
Yes.
how it works.
I mean, it's gonna get weird. I definitely say it's semi-dark if we get into the dark weeds, but yeah, for sure with the other clan there, the clans of the Mormons that want to kill each other, it gets real dark. So I'm glad we did this first to break him in, and then we'll talk about. I mean, his name even almost sounds like evil, you know.
Unfiltered Friday. That's good.
Unfiltered Friday with the LeBaron Colts. So yes, yes. Soaking. I mean, we talked about the soaking before, but you know, dating. This is like literally how how I grew up. Me and my husband. So I do have some criteria for him. From him.
Oh yeah, well, let me hear the criteria. And I just want to say we'll talk about soaking so that we kind of need to.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what's the criteria? What did your husband say you had to do
Oh,
for this episode?
he's like, it's so bad that you have to. So all of us that grew up Mormon, or if you became a Mormon in a time frame where you could date still and you were 16, 17, 18, you're probably married by 19. So forget about it. But no, they're going on missions. So every couple months they yank you into the office and they're like, so Heidi or my husband, what have you been up to? Do you touch yourself? Yep. They're like, but here's the problem. If you do, we need every detail ever. And I'm like, you can't just say all the things. I know for sure that you cannot just say, I thought of all the things. I thought of guys and you know, the thing that you're not supposed to do that I haven't done, but I did think about it. I shouldn't think about it. I know I shouldn't.
I thought about thinking about it, so I haven't quite got to the full thing, but I'm thinking about the thing.
Yeah, this was so much that I just at 17 said, "Screw this, let's get married. I don't want to go back in the office. Let's go." No. But really, it's horrible. So they sit you down and they say, "Well, you're 16 because you have to be 16 to date." Just so you guys know, there's an age. And that sucked for me because I'm a last almost of the summer birthday. So I was in 11th grade. So I still hadn't got to really date without my grandma 2 seats behind me chaperoning us. So that was fun for a while. She did give in and let me go to the dances, the high school dances, as long as it was a group date. It couldn't be a singles date. And that was fine with me because I was still only thinking about the things. I was scared of all the
Mormons
things.
are okay with group dates. That kind of sounds on par for Mormons.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I should have.
You better not be dating one boy. Oh, but you want to go with like 5 girls and one boy? Okay, that's totally fine.
No, they had a match. So group dating is each person has a date and you go together and you all go to the dinner place with like 12 or 20 of you, depending on how cool of a Mormon you were. So if you were in the cool club, you had a big group and, you know, you got to hang out and go to the dinner places and order your Diet Coke and feel super cool. Who knows? Whatever. But we weren't doing the things most of the time. However, this is the funny part. So they bring us into the office and talk to us about this. And they say specifically, was there heavy petting involved? This is my husband's criteria for tonight. They always ask you this. And the first couple times I mean, if you're stupid like I am, I'm just honest to a fault. I'm like, oh shit. Like I just tell the truth. And then they're like, they're doing this the whole time. They're like, oh, this girl, you know, they're writing and they've got this desk that you can't see beneath the desk and you're all alone with the bishop. So you're a kid and you're all alone with the bishop telling him basically soft porn stories of HBO at night. And so, you know, if you're going through that and even if it's just a thought, right? Even if you just thought it. So you've got to do that and then they write it down, then they have you come back. Well, I was never chaste and benevolent enough because of my thoughts. Remember, I'm still a total V card. Had my V card, total good kid. And still, I didn't like everybody knows if you were bad, but they don't know why you were bad. They were like, oh, she's not taking the sacrament this week. The sacrament tray comes and it gives to you and you're supposed to, and you just have to do like that. And everybody in the whole church sees this. Okay.
Wait, what is the sacrament tray? Are you taking food out? Is this like a Eucharist?
Bread. Yes. Yeah. So for us, it's Wonder Bread and little cups of water and
Literal Wonder Bread?
yes. For real.
Like a full slice of bread or like a little
No.
powder?
Little pieces. The
Like
boys,
like you're feeding ducks?
yes. And the boys that are like probably shouldn't be touching anything at that age from 12 to, 16 are getting it ready and literally in front of you up there touching all the things. Apparently I was not a germaphobe at this point, but maybe it's why I am now. And they're up there getting the bread ready and they bless it and then they pass it and everybody sees, like, it's not like you're just going up there and maybe the priest can give you the nod and you can just walk that way. Like, the back of your heads to them. I've done that one before. Like I had to do it a lot because I was a Mormon at a Catholic school and I couldn't take their thing, but they still wanted me to go up there. So I just went up there and went,
Oh, wait,
and
are
they
you
would,
not allowed to eat a Catholic Eucharist?
no, definitely
Why not?
not.
Is
No way.
that explicit? Were you told
Probably going to hell.
you better not touch any of that Catholic stuff?
Yeah, no, definitely not Catholics and definitely not Protestants. They don't like that. So they just,
Right. Wait, well, that blows my mind though, because you're both eating bread, right? You get Wonder Bread, and the Catholics have unleavened Eucharist little crackers.
maybe they satanically blessed
What?
it. I don't even know.
Maybe I'm wrong about this. I'm pretty sure a Catholic, if you're attending another mass, like I'm allowed to go to a Protestant mass and drink their silly grape juice, knowing like this isn't the real stuff. Like I get the real
Right.
blood of Jesus. You guys are just drinking Welch's, and you know
Right.
it, right? So like,
Exactly.
I'm allowed to, but
Exactly.
maybe it's too strong. Like the Catholic
Too strong.
Eucharist is just
Yes.
too strong for the Mormon palate.
And the Mormons are like, oh my gosh, Jenny, did you hear they actually have alcohol in their wine? Holy cow, we're switching to water. They just do straight up water. They don't even mess around. No juice for you.
It's better than that too, because even if you are an altar boy and you're handling the actual like transubstantiated wine that's now the blood, you're not allowed to pour that down the drain. Would you pour Jesus's blood down the drain? So you actually have to drink it. It's the only acceptable
way to get rid of it.
So if the
makes
priest basically blesses or he like does transubstantiation on too much wine and there's not enough people to drink it, altar boys get drunk in the back.
Oh my gosh. Seriously, is this real? Are you playing?
Yeah. Even in the military, that was part of it, because even in the military Catholic mass, in boot camp, I'm talking about, you're not allowed to drink alcohol unless you're a chaplain assistant, and then you can.
You know what?
Sundays.
I'm not breaking my oath because I'm not going to give names, but I work at a facility that does alcohol rehabilitation, and this is making so much sense with the chaplains I see. This makes so much sense now. Yeah, because they're there sometimes a lot for the military to get better, and no judgment at all. But it's weird for us because they're like, no alcohol, totally lock them down. They can't have anything. And then they come to us and they're like, put this in the back room for Sunday for him. And I'm like, doesn't this seem like it would be triggering? We're trying to get better, but that's fine. Robes and everything back there. We got like stacks. I'm like, I don't even know. This doesn't seem like the proper place to put this, but that's fine.
I don't know if this was a Mormon or a Catholic question, but Abbott really wants to know, are you allowed to fart as a Mormon?
I mean, I've heard many a men do, but my grandpa always taught me that ladies don't do that. So he would tell me, ladies fluff and not in front of anyone else. So
If you
yeah.
farted and it felt good, do you have to disclose that to the preacher next
Probably.
time you see him?
Oh, so it gets bad. So if you did do something more than think about it, you can't just say, just like the dream, you can't just say, I had this dream and it was really intricate and blah, 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 because it's embarrassing, but like everybody has dreams, right? Like whatever. When you go in and it's actually real, if you did a bad thing, you got to tell them the whole bad thing. And I know this for a fact because I've talked to many of my friends and they're like, no, bro, they want the details. It was horrific, like crying, like they're like, I feel ashamed. And it's funny in
Tell
a
me
way,
again
but
how
it's
he flipped your nipple.
traumatizing.
Right?
Well, what are they doing under that desk? That makes me wonder, like all these sexual, since I've talked to you, the whole area got arrested. Like not everyone, but seriously, Operation Hive Strike happened and they arrested all these people that work at schools and stuff that were high up Mormons, and they were like psychiatrists and psychologists for the schools, and one was like the principal and the bigger than the superintendent, and all these people got arrested.
Operation Hive Strike?
I'm not kidding. Yes, this is in my area, and I knew one of them, and I was like, I
What
didn't like him.
specifically did they get in trouble for? Like, what are we talking about? Like actual
like starring and actual child porn and starring and producing and all of it. Yeah. Bad stuff and production and distribution. He's the one I know is definitely not going to get out. And I don't know. I know him because of a certain reason, because I had to know him, not because he was a friend, because I had a meeting with him once and I was like, I do not like you. So,
and these are the people that the kids have to go to and confess whatever vices that they're going through.
That was just a random thing that happened with all these good guys, but they're higher ups in the Mormon church. Some of them have been bishops and stuff. They've served missions. So that was completely unrelated to the church, but weirdly enough, I mean, they're in the church.
I mean, is it completely unrelated to the church if there's enough people involved?
Right? Well, and exactly, like you're teaching these people from a young age, like go in a room with this really young girl and listen to all her sexual fantasies, like and explain everything she did. Like that doesn't seem very good idea. You know?
Also, imagine the transition from that dynamic where it's like, is it like every Sunday or something? But like every Sunday, I got to go and tell this old 70-year-old man about like me becoming a woman, right? And then you find out that like the old man is got his own things going on, and then not only that, but then you go immediately into like the workforce, and someone's like, report if someone even looks at you the wrong way, go and talk to HR about it. Like, is there not an HR department within the Mormon church?
But here's the worst part too. Even if my dream was super messed up and I told the truth, right? Whatever, like steamy, hot HBO romance novel type stuff, it stays in your shit forever. They have a folder on you for forever. And then on top of it, you can't ever look at it because there's been many people that have tried to look at it and then they're like, no, that's not for you. I'm like, but it's me. That's mine. I want that back. Like, you can't have that. Why should you have that?
Do you think that this is digital? Is this in like a database somewhere, or is it just
now? I'm assuming by this point, maybe, but maybe not, because I'll tell you, with like psychiatric records, like where I work, they don't do digital because people can break in to digital, so they still do paper. So I don't know if they've transferred it.
Well,
I'm old.
where I was going. I was like, how can we hack into the Mormon database and get all these like these stories,
naughty stories
on Amazon and like the
serious
fiction?
Makes you wonder like, well, and so then on top of it, by the second time you've done this and you get like no sacrament for you, Janice, like you're kind of like okay, I know that the girl like last week was with me at this party and she was macking out in the corner hard, like I was just thinking about it. This girl over
What's
here,
knocking out mean?
like making it like kissing and like, just deep kissing is also another
What
thing they
base
will
are we
ask.
talking about? Just first base kind of kissing?
Probably first base. Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
so,
it's just like
but
a
she's
grand
like,
slam Mormon talk, I assume.
yeah, yeah, she's like still in the priesthood type stuff for girls. It's young women's. And so yeah, she's the young women's president. And I'm like, that girl's a hoe. Like, I know this girl. That girl's a hoe. I'm in trouble. I can't take the sacrament. She's over there eating her Wonder Bread. And I'm like, she's lying. Definitely lying.
Well, not to mention that teenage boy that ripped up that Wonder Bread with his bare hands, he probably
No
lied too.
kidding.
So now you're eating a
Yeah, no
liar's Wonder
kidding.
Bread.
Lying Wonder Bread, and then on top of it, like after that, you're like, okay, I'm never gonna do that again. Like everybody's perfect after that. So you learn to lie for the Lord really good and quick, because let me tell you guys, nothing more embarrassing. And then on top of it, that girl that I said I knew she was a hoe, she got pregnant by 16. My point was proven. I'm just saying. I said what I said. Like she wasn't married.
It
That's
could
for
have been
sure.
immaculate conception. You don't know.
Maybe so. Maybe so. That's why she could still eat the bread.
Is that part of Mormons? Is immaculate conception recognized?
Oh, even not for the one. No.
Even Mary,
No.
even Mary doesn't get a pass. She was a hoe too.
She wasn't a hoe, but she did the deed. She was, and this is what they say, and I'm going to quote it exactly because I got in trouble for just saying it being silly, is they say this. Jesus was created like any other man with passions. So just so y'all know, Holy Spirit didn't make that one, not for the Mormons. It was God, and he did the deed. So
I'm also when you're like, it like you have to give these like hot steamy tales to some 70-year-old dude. What is hot and steamy for a Mormon? Is it kind of like Amish, where if like a girl's long dress reveals part of her ankle, everyone loses their mind? Is that sort of hot?
No, I think that actually it has to be pretty bad. Like it has to be past, like touching you under your clothes. They will literally say over your clothes or under your clothes. What did you do? Like, how did you do it? Where were you at? With your mouth, with your hand, with your
They have
this,
little
with your
dolls, like show me on
oh
the
my,
doll.
I think that would have been easier because like
And so you're trying to explain these like weird, contorted, awkward moves.
oh, it was so bad. It was just like the worst. And you're just sitting there going like, really? I'm the worst one? Like everybody else taking the sacrament? No, everybody lies, girl. You figure that out real quick because you need to understand that this is like embarrassing. And then they think you lost your V card. You know what I mean? So what's up, Jeannie? So yeah, no, so embarrassing. So embarrassing. And so after that, you just don't. I mean, of course, the best thing to do is not to do any of those things at all, Thomas. Don't you know?
Yeah,
but they do.
Abstinence clearly works very well, especially for those pregnant 16-year-olds.
Right. And then on top of it, they do these dances. So somebody brought them up. I think somebody brought up a ball. I can't remember. But anyway, I was reading back through comments. It might have been on a live. It might have been afterward. And they were asking. Yeah, exactly. See, you have to be careful until she goes and tells on you in her monthly meeting and then you get arrested if you're over the age. Because these girls, I hate to say it, not all of them, but I think the amount of people being taken advantage of in Utah is definitely somewhat true. And definitely, if you got caught, it was also true. So yeah, I felt bad for the boys. I was like, oh my gosh, you guys were dating for like 6 months. Yeah, I said no. I'm like, oh, okay, but he's going to go to jail. Like, what?
And the boys all do the exact same thing, right? Anyone?
Oh, yes.
What age group are we talking about? If
starting
someone
at 12.
How old?
Start 12.
So starting at 12, which this might not even be on your radar.
It might be changed, but 12 when I was young. Yes.
It almost seems like it would be planting seeds, though, in a 12-year-old that might otherwise not even be interested in this. Now, all of a sudden, it's like you got to come up with something good to tell this pervy old bishop once a week, right? I mean, I do feel like the instigator in me would want to just come up with some wild tales, and just like give them
Yes.
some really incredible fodder.
It was just so embarrassing. And then I will tell you guys, it escalates because if you're an adult and you go further, then it becomes a whole problem. So my uncle, this is actually funny. I think he was married 9 times. He had a problem with chastity when he wasn't married. So he would just constantly get married to try and fix it, but they excommunicated him like 3 times. But I'm pretty sure he was in the Mormon mafia. I'm not even kidding on that piece, but there was some weird stuff. They'll let you back. They'll let you back in. They always let them back in. You just got to be out for a year. So,
Once you're actually married in Mormonism, is anything good to
Nope.
go now, or there's still rules?
No. So let me tell you about the rules that there were when I first was going through. Now, they have changed a lot of things. So please know this. I don't know if they've changed again since I knew they changed. But my grandma, as I'm getting ready to go through the temple, lays something on me that I was like, "What?" She's like, kissing can only happen on the mouth, right? And I'm like,
What about the cheek, Grandma?
well, that's not what she meant. And so that was a nice way of putting what I'm trying to get out there. So she tells me these kisses are not allowed. And I'm like, I think I'm not going to go. Like, I don't know about this. This seems horrible. Like, I don't want somebody dictating to me even after you get married. So brave me. I'm sure this is all over my notebook. Like, this bitch asked this question, like, because I was done. I was like, listen, Bishop, I've done all the things. I'm married. He was a convert. He was a Catholic. His Roman Catholic mother probably still doesn't forgive me. I am sorry. He was an Irish. I don't know. I'm sorry. A Mick, even a Mick. Yeah.
Will you watch your mouth here? Children are watching.
I know. And I feel bad, but none of it. And so here's the deal. I was like, all right, I'm not going to go if this is the case. And he's like, listen, stop right there. It used to be a rule. It's not a rule anymore. Just don't have anybody else in your bedroom. No pornography, none of that stuff. And no animals. Go on your way. He did say no animals. And I'm not kidding. I was like, that wasn't in the question. What? Weird. Okay. Thank you.
I mean, just farm communities, it's kind of an unspoken taboo that is still practiced actively.
I was shooketh. I was like, I gotta go. Like,
that's more of for the guys than for the girls, I think. I mean, there's exceptions in every case, but
oh, this guy, he went there. I was like, okay, as long I just asked the one
don't
question.
you be putting that peanut butter on anything other than your regular mouth lips.
Right? Yeah, I guess so. He was like very specific. And I'm like, you're weird. I gotta go. So, but this, if you do have a problem, like my uncle, who would keep having these problems and get divorced and then remarried and get back baptized again, it's a whole process all over again. And so he had to go in front of this big, like, quorum of men and tell exactly what he did, like the deeds, like when he made the mistake as an adult. Because
like, gentlemen, clear out your schedule.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And every single thing. And then you can't, and he's like, and I only overheard this because he was talking to my grandma, and I probably shouldn't have been listening, but I was. And he was like, you have to tell them every single thing. You can't just say all of the things. You can't just say blah, blah, blah. They want to know like exactly and how and where and when and everything. And I was like, these people are crazy. I remember being young and thinking, this is not okay. This is very strange. No. But yeah, apparently it's a thing.
Imagine the variety that some of these bishops have heard, though. It almost seems that it would be hard to even give them something that they hadn't heard before to like just get a rise out of them.
Well, guess what? It's one of the number one places for porn addiction in all of America. And it makes sense because, like, listen, the desensitization that they probably heard. And then, like,
Salt Lake City is? Or
no, Utah, not Mormons, but Utah as a whole. I mean, they can't.
Well, I mean, tomato a little bit, no?
Exactly, exactly. So, yes, they have a huge, horrible porn addiction problem, and they have like infidelity issues that are pretty bad and like bad marriage rates. But it makes sense. Like you're getting married at, do you know who you are when you're 17? Because I surely did not. And, having that divorce under my belt with a 25-year-old man, I mean, it lasted 10 years, but geez Louise, we had nothing in common. No, there was no, I mean, other than we didn't wanna go to the bishop's office, that was about it. So, yeah.
The bishop's just like, I'm gonna come and watch. I'm gonna see what you guys are doing. Show me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I was like, "We just gotta get married. This is we can't keep meeting up. This is bad." My grandpa was like, "How old are you? You are gonna get married." To my ex-husband. Yeah. He was
This is
like,
this
"You're
I just want to say this
25?"
is kind of weird because I can't think of any other religions that have this particular practice where they have a kid. Now, in there is confessional, and if you're a Catholic, you can go to confession. And
Right.
if anyone's seen the movie Detroit Rock City, there's actually like a really awesome scene towards the end of it where he has to go in, and the priest is like, "Tell me more. Oh, good. What kind of panties were they?" Like he's like really
That's
pushing them
that's
for
what it is.
details,
Yeah.
but that was done for comedic effect. But what you're describing is not the comedic version of this. It's like that, but serious.
Well, and this doesn't just happen for dating. This continues on in your life. It just doesn't happen as much once you're married. So,
Wait,
once you're
wait. So you're
married,
married and you still have to go in and tell the bishop what you're
not
doing, and
not the sexual stuff, but like if you have any problem, same as confessional for you guys, we have to go talk to the bishop. Like if you did something that was not like you should be doing, it could be like you're not supposed to cheat in business. You're not supposed to cheat on taxes, I guess, unless you're at the top, right? Because we know they did that. But Ensign Peak scandal. Uh anyways, whatever. They don't care. For us little peons, we have to go chat with them.
I mean,
So
I guess there's no way to not be crude about this. I'll put it as politely as I can.
you're good.
What if like something goes into the wrong slot accidentally? Do you have to stop and then immediately book a session with the bishop and be like,
No,
"Look, we were trying to do it the right way and something went wrong and this happened and, please
I don't
forgive
think
me."
they wanna know that part anymore. They are okay about whatever you do in your
Now, if
bedroom
you
is what he
slip and
said.
fall and something happens, then that's kind of a workaround or what?
I mean, if you're married, anything goes with you and no animals, like I said, like it doesn't matter. They don't care about that stuff anymore so much, but they did used to, very much so. As far as other people, like if you're not married, then it's,
Well,
you
right,
gotta
they're
talk
going
about
straight to
everything.
hell regardless though, so
Probably. Yeah. No, and plus, it's like I said, it's about finances. It's about, they're very keep you on a leash with everything. I mean, tax season, you got to go in there with your taxes and prove you paid the right amount of money with your gross income, with your W-2. This isn't just like, yes, I said I did, so I did. No, no. Then if you didn't, you owe them money. Like they're very by the rules on all of it. And so, yeah. I mean, it's but not for them. I mean, there's proof. So,
I mean, you could make an argument though that the foundation for most religions that last the test of time all have tithings, and they all have very specific and strict tithings. And there's even like for example in the Catholic Church, it's not as stringent, but once you get high enough, like if you want to look at like Opus Dei or something, part of becoming like in the inner circle of Catholics or in Jesuits is that it's like, oh, we do 30% tithings. And then it
oh,
almost becomes a humble brag or a shaming ritual where it's
ooh.
like, I pay more tithings than you do, so therefore I'm holier than
Well,
you
I
are.
will tell you, yes, they match you because the people that get called into the quorum of the 70 and the quorum of the 12 and stuff like that does not just it's not just the little people, right? It's like the people making a certain amount of money or the bloodline. Let's be real. Yeah. So they're paying more because they're rich.
So, but it sounds like if you're married, then the evil number 69 is fine, right? They don't.
Nowadays, not
But
for my poor grandma. My poor grandma suffered probably. Yeah.
but his poor grandma. Let's get her in here.
Poor grandma. She passed, but she did tell me the truth. And I was just like, are you insane? Like, no, I'm not doing it then. I'm sure there was a written thing about me. So,
What about on COBOL? Do you think that his grandma can do 69s on COBOL?
I mean,
She's got her
Kolob
own
is a
freaking
whole
planet.
other,
I think
she's
she's
got a
allowed to.
different, yeah, I think Kolob, she doesn't go there. She
Co-op.
has to make her own. You know what I mean? She can't. Her husband does with his virgins and such. But, whatever. No, not virgins. Wives. Different religion. Similar though. Similar. But yeah, it was very traumatizing. And here I'm going to tell you guys a real story. And if she hears this, I'm sorry, but I won't say her name. In 8th grade, I was super close with this one friend of mine, and she was so nice. And we went to see an R-rated movie. Okay. And it may have been 9th grade, but I don't think it was. I think it was oh, I think it was 9th. Anyway, we went to go see Pretty Woman. And there's a scene in Pretty Woman that's not very graphic at all on the piano. It's not that big a deal. Okay. And so I grew up like just look away, like don't watch that part. But apparently she couldn't look away and had a dream about this part. Exactly. There we go. And she went to the bishop and she told him, I saw this movie with my friend and she led me astray because she wanted to see this movie. I'm like, this wasn't even my idea. Thought we agreed on the movie, but I was the bad kid, right? Because I'm from the divorced family. So I'm like, all right, whatever, I guess. And she's like, I can't talk to you anymore. And they made her not talk to me anymore. And we were no longer friends.
All
So,
because you dragged her to see Pretty Woman because of your perverted mind?
I guess so. I didn't know there was going to be, anything too bad in it. I was like, whatever. They're not going to put anything on the screen. And that was apparently too much for her. But,
Now, could
she
you
came.
actually, I understand like her not hanging out with you and not being a friend of the parents, but is there actually something in the Mormon books that's like if
No, full
you bring
shunning.
someone else to a movie?
He would say to her at the bishop's meeting, and she told me he did, that she could not be around me anymore. It was full shunning. There was no talking. There was no hi. We were locker partners. It got really awkward. Like I just one day, I'm kind of rude sometimes. Sometimes my anger gets the worst of me. And I just took all her crap to the office and was like, this girl left her books in the floor. I don't know why. Here they are.
There might be some poop on them. I don't know how it got there.
I don't know. I don't know who she is, but I thought I should turn them in because I'm a good person. So
Couldn't it just turn into like a tit for tat? Well, it's like, well, she showed me Little Mermaid and that has a dick castle in it, so now she should be in trouble too.
I mean, you would think, but she was, not with divorced parents.
It also seems in Mormon culture, and I guess I'm always thinking of how ways to hack the system, but it's almost like do unto others before they do unto you. So if you accuse someone else of being impure before they get a chance to report you for doing that, then you kind of have the one up on them, right?
Well, they do. It is a tell on your neighbor culture. So, I mean, I could see why. And she came from a very, very, very nice family, So I wasn't. And like they would meet every night and all get on their knees and pray together as a family. I thought it was great, but I was like, whoa, they're really serious. Like, so it was really serious for her. For me, I grew up with the Jack Mormon grandpa that was kind of nuts. So I was like, what is your issue? Like, this is not that big a deal, But yeah. So yeah.
I'm curious too. I guess it's time for soaking and shaking a little. I don't know the shaking part. I assume it's part of the soaking and jumping.
I don't know if they shake, don't they break the rule? No, I don't know.
Well, was there they can shake, but someone else has to shake? Well, first of all, are you ever explicitly told by anyone within Mormonism, like, hey, we know that you might have heard about this thing called soaking. You're not allowed to do it. It's not a valid workaround. Did they actually come out and tell you?
I think, well, maybe they do now because this was not an option or anything when I was young. It
Had
was
you even heard of this
no,
concept when you were
n-
okay?
no way.
What's the
Because
first time you heard of soaking? Were you Mormon at that
when
point,
you
or
told me,
you
when
hadn't
you
heard of
told
it
me,
until we
no,
talked about it?
yes,
Now I
and I was
feel like
like,
I need to go and confess to somebody and be shunned.
what is he talking about?
Bubbling, I get. I get that you didn't know what bubbling was, because that seems like a
Um,
very boy specific thing, but soaking seems like everyone would have known about
I
that.
think it's because I'm a much older. I'm a grandma. Like I've already been off the
You're
market
not
for
that much
so.
older. I mean,
I mean, I'm almost 50. So, um, yeah, that's gonna happen here soon. Not this year, but soon.
well,
Within
I would
16
love to
months.
know if anyone is a Mormon now or knows Mormons. Do they ever
Well, here's the thing.
proactively try
They
and get ahead of this soaking thing and let kids know before they try and do this workaround from God? They'll be like, "Hey guys, just so you know,
I'll
God will
tell you.
still punish you, and you
You
have to
can't.
tell us if you do the soaking thing."
Well, you can't because you can never have your parts connecting at all. You shouldn't be naked with anyone.
Right? I
So
mean, let's just if you open up your imagination, technically you could soak fully clothed. It would be very
now
uncomfortable, but it's
that was my
possible.
thing. Now back in the day, we called that something else. But yes, that was a thing that we would do sometimes, right? And you would definitely get in trouble for that too. I did get in trouble for that once. More than heavy petting. Naughty, naughty, naughty.
I
So
feel like there's an absolute workaround here, just like two large sheets of opaque latex, right? And
I
like you don't
still
see the other person, but like technically no contact is ever made, but you could still do just about anything you could think of, but you're
I
still
don't know.
not.
I
And
still got in
also
trouble.
at
Yeah,
like a
clothes
molecular
burning.
level, right? We don't
Okay.
actually touch anyone. It's just like electrical forces that are pushing each other around. So I don't know. It feels like there's so much gray area here.
You can't be you can't see a naked person. You're not
Okay,
supposed to
the
see them.
opaque
You're
latex
not
opaque
to
sheets would fix
touch
that.
them. You can't touch them, though. You can't
That
touch a
seems
private.
like a very vague definition, though. Like, what if you're wearing mittens?
Oh, I don't think there's any touching clothed or unclothed because I got in trouble for it clothed. So I'm like, I know clear back in the olden days when grandma was young, I got in trouble for just making out with a guy on top of me, like kissing. Yeah.
Is this codified anywhere? Is there actually like a book which lists
Yes.
all the things you can and can't do?
It's not specific like you might think it is, but yes, it says you must be morally clean and you can't go to these fun little dances that they throw with DJs and everything. And you can't do any of that dating stuff at the church and get your little pass because you need, well, I don't know what they do now, but this is back in the day. They would give you this little card that says you are worthy to go to this dance, and everybody likes to go to the dances. So, it's kind of a way to keep you behaved, and they ask you all these questions before they fill out that little card for you. And I was always the date to convert lady, so I was always like, can you fill one out for my friend? And I probably baptized more people than most missionaries, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, it's bad. Now I
Do you get
regret.
to store those points up and cash them in at any point?
I mean, maybe that's why they don't excommunicate me. I'm not sure. No, I think that's my
You just converted too
here's
many.
my the bishop would tell you any questions on petting or soaking. Oh, so I don't know. Older than me, even. That's older than me. So I don't know.
Wait, well, I'm trying to
Yeah.
understand what this means. The bishop would tell you about petting and
Do you have
soaking
any
ahead of
questions?
time?
Yeah. Do you have any questions about your what we mean, basically? Like they are they give you a little pamphlet when you're pretty young, and it doesn't say anything but morally clean. And then they get very in depth in the shut door, and they're like, okay, do you need to know what that is? A
I feel
defined
like the answer
version.
is yes, though, because if we're talking 1820s morally clean versus
Right.
2020s morally clean, these are completely different definitions, right?
Well, I think that basically they don't want you touching or being in a room with anybody that's naked, unless it's a doctor. So, yeah, Nate.
If Nate was in this conversation, everyone would be excommunicated by the end of
Nate
it,
Nate
guaranteed.
wants me to come back on soon, so we'll do this again with Nate later.
Nate will actually soak. He'll soak live on stream just for the extra views.
Oh, that's so funny. He told me, he's like, I got in trouble on Spotify.
Whenever he tells me that, it's
Oh
never
my
surprising
gosh.
to me. It bums me out for sure, but it's never a surprise.
He had to go to the bishop's office of Spotify.
I would love nothing more than to get a Mormon bishop on here so that we
Oh
could
my
just straight up
gosh.
ask all the questions about what's allowed and not allowed.
There's this guy that used to be a bishop that is now a not a Mormon at all. We should try to get him on. His name is Bishop Earl. And that
Bishop,
would be
he had to do this to people.
I mean, yeah, he was a bishop
If
for a
you're
long time.
So if you're a bishop, you're doing this. There's not like the
Oh,
special guidance
you
counselor
can't.
bishop.
Nope, you're doing it. It's all you. And this is a free position. You're not paid. You're not paid clergy. You're just going to work all the time, and then you come home and you go and you're at the church till forever. So yeah.
Are bishops expected to be married? Can you be a
Oh,
bachelor bishop?
you have no way. Nope, you
What's
gotta be married.
What is the lifestyle of a Mormon bachelor? Does it even exist? Or is just like
Mm,
you're a black sheep if you're a bachelor?
we're usually at the point that if they didn't go on a mission or if they came home from their mission and are not married within 6 months, people start to go, "Is he, you know?" And people start to question. They're like, "Is he playing for the other side? I'm so sorry." Like, they start doing the,
Oh,
like,
okay.
"Oh, I'm so sorry, Jenny. Oh my gosh, you must be so upset." And girls feel like old maids by the time they're 19. So, I was
So
fresh off the mark
so
at
if a guy
17.
doesn't get married, he's gay, and if a girl doesn't get married, then she's
She
like
might also
impure
be.
or
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, there's questions is what people start to ask questions and assume things, but they're really judgy anyways. I mean,
It
I
also seems like a very small sort of timeline that you've got, right? Because it's like you better not be doing any hanky panky, and all of a sudden you've got 2 years to get married, and if you don't, then it's like, oh well, you need to get down to business.
Exactly. Yeah, they're like, "So, what's the holdup?"
What are
If
you
you're
gay?
25 if you're 25 and not married, there are going to be questions. Now, I don't know about how it is now for them, but, like, this is back when I was growing up. Definitely, if you were a girl and you were 25 and you went on a mission, it was like girls had to wait back then till they were 21 to go on a mission, and boys were 19. Now they want you straight out of high school at 18 for everybody. And I was always like you always kind of were like, "Oh, I wonder if they're ugly." Like, or whatever. You felt bad for them, like, "Oh, poor whoever," you know? And then you'd see them sometimes they wouldn't be, and you're like, "I'm so confused. Like, why aren't you married?" And I mean, it's probably the worst for people that just don't wanna be married because everybody's like, "So, when you gonna get married? I had 4 wives by now. What are you doing?" No, just kidding on the wives.
Personally, did you have good gaydar as growing up Mormon?
Well, I mean, one of my very best friends was, and I didn't know, so I guess I missed the boat on
So
that one.
no, yeah, because well, I guess I'm wondering. It seems that Mormons would have worse
He was
gaydar
yeah.
than non-Mormons.
Oh, all of my family was like, okay, I'll tell you what my mean grandpa, because you remember, he wasn't the chastened
Jack Mormons
benevolent.
probably have some pretty good gaydar compared to
Right.
non-Jack Mormons.
He used to say, "That boy is gayer than a $3 bill. I don't know what you're doing with him." And I'm like, "Well, then I'm safe." Right. And he's like, "Yeah, you can do anything you want with that kid. Go ahead. Go to the movies, go to the dances."
You
He
can
never
get
worried.
drunk on prom night and pass out in the back of his car, and you will be
Yep.
fine.
I will be fine. And he never worried about me. And to his credit, he was amazing. I never did have to worry. So
Yeah,
he's great to
if
this day.
if you have to have a beard, a Mormon beard seems like the best kind of beard.
Oh, you can't have those. Unless they've changed it. You can't have facial hair at all if
No,
you're
I mean like
oh,
a relationship beard.
oh, gotcha. I missed that one.
You know what a
Yeah.
beard is in
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah, yeah,
context,
yeah.
right?
He is great, but he wasn't exactly Mormon. He grew up semi-Mormon, and I would bring him to church all the time and be like, "He's gonna be fine. Look, he's gonna get engaged." Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah.
Have they
He
let
was
up on that at all? Are there any like progressive
oh,
Mormon temples where they're marrying
no,
gay people?
not yet. Do you remember when I said I think Zertus is going to start his own church. And you laughed. I'm going to make another prediction. I think we're going to see the coming of that very soon because first they were like, your kids can't even take the sacrament if you're gay. Punish the kids. And everybody was like, excuse me, what? And there was a lot of women that were married together and or married with other women that were very pissed off about this. They're like, you're going to torture my kid. And I thought that is insane. But they took it back and they said maybe the prophet was drunk that day. Not really. They just, I don't know what they said. They took it back. And then now they're like, well, we changed our mind on that. And they're softening ever more, ever more, ever more. So I'm sure it's going to change.
When this stuff changes, right? When someone comes up with a rule or they walk back a rule, is it assumed that this was like a human being and went and had a human discussion, or are they literally talking
No,
to gods
they're
and
talking to God.
prophets?
Absolutely talking to God. But I will tell you, if they're wrong or it like becomes a problem, because Brigham Young died saying like black people are never coming. We don't care. Only God himself coming down from the clouds, appearing to everyone can remove the curse. That's all. Like that. He was so serious about that
The
they
curse
were
of
like,
Ham we're talking about.
yeah, well,
Or
it's
Cain,
actually
whatever.
different. The curse of Cain is different for the Mormons. The Mormons with black people is the fence sitters, the war in heaven fence sitters, and the curse of Cain is just brown people. So totally different curses.
What's your
but
curse
lots of
called? Does it have a
curses.
cool name?
So many curses. Yeah. So this one, they just would say, God came down and told so and so, and so the other guy's stuff goes in this book called the Journal of Discourses. And if you look in the Journal of Discourses, they'll turn it around and say, well, he's just a man and things are wrong sometimes. And, whatever, we're chucking his stuff out because he said the wrong thing. And then that's all. So,
Yeah, God wasn't wrong. That guy just misinterpreted it, or he wasn't able
he
to
had a
pass
bad
the message
day.
on.
Or they'll do this. He wasn't talking as the prophet that day. Or there was an update, there was a download, and they're like, "Oh, look, it's updated because God just intervened. He saw this and he saw how long they'd really been wanting to do this, even though it was 1978 and the pressure was on." Like, seriously, I think the Mormons finally were just like, they're probably going to kill us if we don't knock it off with our stupid crap. And rightfully so. But not on death, but the stupid crap. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, then they pray again and they're like, he must have got it. It's updated. That's all. That was back then. That was for those times. Don't you know? Same thing with polygamy. They say that all the time. Oh, all the men were killed off. So the women had nowhere to go. I'm like, yeah, but you married a 14-year-old. She definitely had some years on her. You could have let her grow up first. No. Let's marry that one up too. Doesn't make any sense.
Is there like a chain or like a boardroom discussion on these prophecies? So like someone comes down and they're like, guys, last night I talked to God. He set me straight. Grandmas are allowed to do 69s
Right.
now. We need to put
Right.
this out to
Yeah.
the people. Does it have to go through like an approval process? Or if you're
No.
the prophet, you can
You're the
just
prophet.
like, so it's just executive orders as much as you want.
I suspect they meet with the quorum of the 12 and that they kind of go over things. Now, can I prove that? No. And that's not, okay for them. For them, they say, no, he just knew, it's a new time, a new prophet, a new everything. So check out all that stuff. Just like the magic stuff with Joseph, that gets, that was just the folk magic time. Don't worry about that stuff. And they just check it out.
Do you think there's a chance a prophet comes down and he's like, look, we talked to God. He doesn't want all of these bishops talking to 14-year-olds about their sexual dreams.
I think
Like
that
God,
would be good.
God checked
Yeah.
in and he's like, you know what? We don't need that anymore. Stop writing it down. We're good.
Yeah, I think that would actually be good. And like I said, I don't know if it's changed because there has been a lot of sexual scandal in the church. Maybe you have to be accompanied by a parent, or I don't know if anybody in the chat knows. I have no idea if it's still the same. But as for me growing up, that's how it was.
That would be even more awkward, wouldn't it? If like your parents are also in the room in addition to this.
No way, because then you're perfect. You can all go home. Yep.
What's the youngest bishop that you ever met when you were a Mormon?
There has been some young ones, and when they get called, everybody's like clutching pearls. 40s.
Oh, so
I think
40 is young for a
Mhm.
bishop in
Oh,
Mormonism.
yeah. And I mean, I think there's even been 30s at this point because, they're running out of people. So,
Are
at
they?
this
I've
point,
I figured out of all the people, Mormons are like the one of the few groups that are not having declining birth
they
rates.
are having declining numbers. Yes.
Just from where they
Act
were at like 100 years ago or in
It's
general?
enough it's enough where I am seeing for the first time ever in Utah, churches close. I've never seen that in my life. Ever, ever. In fact, it's a rotating hot seat schedule, and what we would have to do is we had our sacrament, like your guys's, Eucharist stuff at 9, and then the next people had it at 11, so as we're coming out, they're coming in, and then we go to our classes, like your catechism stuff, and then the next people would come at 3 or 2 to 5, I think it was. So it was hot seats, hot seats, hot seats all my life until till now. So yeah, I think they're having a literal real decline for
Are
once.
are you looked down on if you go to like the 3 o'clock mass versus the 9 o'clock mass?
No, because they assign you, and you always hope it's like for me, because I'm not a morning person. At the first of the year, it rotates. So if you were at 11, you're going to be the 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. I can't remember the next time. And then the next year, you're going to be the morning. And then it just keeps doing that rotation. So you kind of know, but I was always like, when it's 9 a.m., I'm always like, dang it. I'm never going to make it to church with all these kids at 9 a.m. Because I'm not going with their hair messed up. That's for sure. These people are judgmental. No way.
Can you like put that out on the market? Like, hey, I got a 9 a.m. here. If anyone wants one, can I
I
trade you for
wish
a 3 p.m.? No, that
you
doesn't.
can. You cannot, and you cannot attend another ward without permission. And if you do, that is looked down upon. So, yeah, no, because you're not in the same ward.
What
Like
if
your
you're
ward,
traveling? What if you're on
you can
vacation
do
and you
that.
go to
That's
another
acceptable.
so
Yep.
and then you
That,
can go to any time that you want.
yeah, then it's fine. Then it's totally fine. Yep.
But if
You're
you
good.
live there and you're paying this particular church tithings, you can't decide what time you want to
No,
go. They tell you
no,
when you're going to go.
it's all done by boundaries, and so ward boundaries are a big thing. So, like, my neighbor might be in a different ward across the street than I am because of the way they split. They just get like a map and start like drawing little lines all over like this many people, they're going to you. This many people, they're going to you. And they're all numbered like the Cobble Creek 11th ward. So like maybe Cobble Creek is your housing area, that's your like subdivision name, and then the 11th ward or the 13th ward or whatever 14th ward, that's how they do it. So yeah.
Someone
Yeah.
mentioned that in the 80s that if you saw Mormon girls getting pregnant,
Yeah.
would they just
Yeah.
disappear? Is that pretty common?
So this happened, this is another bad story of Heidi's too honest. Okay, so we're at Thanksgiving and I see my cousin that I haven't seen for quite some time, and I'm like, hey, you're having a baby. And I was like 11. You have to remember, I'm a kid. And she's like, I am not. Oh my gosh. What are you saying? I just gained some weight. I've been at college. And I'm like, clearly you're having a baby. I mean, does she not? Then I'm concerned in my little dumb 11-year-old mind. I was like, maybe she doesn't know. Oh my gosh, have you seen those shows where they just pop out the baby? And I'm like
You're
going
like in
to
this
my grandma.
bathroom, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I think she needs to know that she's definitely having a baby or she has a tumor or something. And then like finally her little sister that was like maybe 12, a year older than me, she like yanks me into the bedroom. Shut up. Like you're pissing her off. Everybody knows. Like just act like it's not there. And the sad thing was they made her give the baby away, and then she did that, and the dad and her decided, yeah, okay, we're gonna give it away. And then they got married like 2 years later and had like 6 more kids or something.
Do you
So
get the baby back after that?
no,
Or it's gone for good?
all adoptions back then were done through the LDS church, which always did absolutely closed adoptions where you
Mhm.
don't even get anything. So nope. And Utah is one of the few states they fly people in here because there's like only like a 24 or 36-hour recension on adoptions. It's like almost immediate that the baby goes with the people. It's like fast and it's done forever and you can't get your kid back.
Do
So
they
don't
have
come.
to go to Mormons?
If you do it through LDS Social Services, they will pick the family for you, but it's all free. Yeah.
But
So
like, there's no chance that like a non-Mormon couple
no
would
way.
be able to adopt a Mormon kid that was given up.
Not unless, okay, if the girl didn't go through LDS social services, then yes,
Right.
because then they didn't pay for it and use their attorneys and use their social services. They have all their own stuff. Remember, they're very self-sufficient on like welfare, all that stuff. They have all those people. They employ all of them. And so, yeah, it's actually sad. She didn't see that baby again and like ended up marrying the guy anyway. By the way, she said no. So just saying, guys, be careful. Yeah. They were married later. I'm like, oh,
I can't
yeah,
tell
right.
if Mormon tips and tricks is like a
Melissa's
sexual
on fire
thing.
today. Tips and tricks. Oh, that's funny. Bad. Oh, Mormon story time, right? But we'll get in trouble because there's almost none like that.
When we try to make it so this show won't get you excommunicated if you're a Mormon, right? Because I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
asking. I don't know what I'm getting into here. I am a prospective Mormon, so I want to make sure I'm not burning any bridges throughout this. If anything, I'm making sure that I know where the lines
You
are.
know the laws. Well,
And what's
remember,
in-
these might be changed because I'm older, but and they change things so frequently. But yeah, it's just, and there's been questionable. I have to tell you, like somebody commented, there's been some questionable things with the adoption situation, especially from other countries. There's been some question, and Mormons take all the babies. They are very happy to take babies from other countries that aren't Mormon because then we get to save them and they'll be Mormon, right? So if they're from Uganda or like Somalia or anywhere, Russia, it doesn't matter. We'll take all the babies that they'll let us have. So yeah.
I mean, on that point though, are Mormons, is it like being a Hollywood, like Angelina Jolie or Charlize Theron, where it's like, I could adopt one of the million babies here in this country, but there's
Right.
something cool and exotic about getting like a Kenyan baby.
I mean, I knew some people that were like this, and they would have just kept having their own babies because there was a few people in church, even as a young girl, they tell you to be pregnant like as much as you can possibly, as many kids as you can financially sustain, then go ahead and have as many kids as you can. But then you'd see people that you were like, uh-oh, she's pregnant again. They already have like 8 or 9 kids and they don't take care of any of them. They don't have shoes on, like their nose is running. Like it just is a bad situation from like 8 miles away and you just see her pregnant all the time and you're like, "Oh no." And there's some like that or there's some like what you're saying, the more posh, like collected, she would have had more if she could, but then she couldn't. So yeah, she started kind of collecting babies. And
Yeah,
so
they're like
it got
Pokemon a
weird.
little bit. Like you want to
Yeah.
get, or like collecting spoons, right? You got to get one from
Yeah,
each state kind of deal.
exactly. Yeah. And countries and wherever they can get them. Yeah. And I do think, it's funny because a lot of them will be like, oh, I'm so stressed out because I have so many kids. I'm like, yeah, but you did that on purpose. Like so much of this is just, I mean, yeah, I don't know. As a kid, I was always like, yeah, I'm not having that many. But then I
Is
ended up having a lot.
Are the Kenyan babies and like the missionaries that go to like Nigeria or whatever, is this all something that happened after the church was like, never mind, there's no curse or the curse has been lifted? Or was
Yeah.
there, okay, so there would have been no point in adopting a Kenyan baby if the curse hadn't been lifted yet.
No, they still would have. They still would have done it and said that they could go to heaven as a servant of the
Right.
white man.
Okay. I mean, again, not to be crude or insulting here, but I'm
It's
just,
insulting.
if
Yeah.
if you adopt 50 Kenyan babies as a Mormon versus your neighbor that adopts 50 white and delightsome Salt Lake City babies, doesn't that mean their collab is better than your collab because your
So
collab's got a bunch of Kenyans in it?
so technically, by the rules that we have in place now, no. But every great grandma that comes around to like your wedding or anything, like my brother, he married a black lady from Chicago, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, that's fine."
Don't tell
Like, they
grandma.
were just like,
Yeah, where's
"Oh my
grandma? She's not
gosh."
here, right?
Yeah, like, "Oh my gosh." And I'm like, "What the heck is going?" And I wasn't like that ever because I was like, "You guys are so crazy." Like, this is great. Like, she's great, whatever. Like, that's fine. And no, it was not the same feeling from the older people ever. Mm-mm. Yeah, no.
No, no
Nope.
comment. We're not talking about that.
Uh,
Don't
uh-oh.
turn your collab into a carnival cruise.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no. I mean, it's a situation. I'll tell you, it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, we've got one token black guy in the quorum of the 70. Like there's 70 of them. Like maybe there's one brown guy and, one black guy and a Danish guy, right? And probably definitely a bunch of Germans, but we won't talk about that. Anyways, yeah, it's still not overly accepted. Maybe it's accepted, but it's not. So, yeah, it's one of those things.
Is there any concept at all of like a Rumspringer for Mormons?
No way. You're just nope. You
There's
born
no
into the
such thing as a
rules
get out of jail free card ever.
ever. Nope.
Well, second anointing,
Well,
right?
yeah, but nobody's supposed to know about that one. But then you would be so godly, you wouldn't want to break the rules. That's what they say. Do they?
I don't know, man. I feel like if you're that godly, then the rules don't apply to you, and if you follow the rules, then you're not respecting how godly you truly are, and that you don't have to follow the rules, right?
Except murder and being an apostate. Yeah, you can't do those two. Can't do that. You're out. But other
What
than
about
that,
like accidental vehicular homicide? What if you get like a
you,
DUI and you like crash
you
into someone? Do you get kicked? Is that go
nah.
beyond your second anointing, or is that cool?
I bet they'd be like, "Oh, it was an accident, though. You should get
Okay,
treatment."
okay.
But yeah, I don't think so. I think it would have to be deliberate. You harmed somebody, meaning to kill them, even like accidental, say a bar fight, and you accidentally killed them. Like I don't think they would do that either. But they would be like, "What are you doing there? And why did you do that?" But even if you get excommunicated, it's only another year and you'd be right back in. So no worries. Like I said, my uncle did it like 9 times or something. I don't know. It was a
But to be
lot.
clear, you can't get excommunicated if you're second anointed, right? Like it's not even a thing that they're allowed to do, or it can still happen.
Well, this is what I postulate. I postulate like you. I'm like, but is it? Are they really kicked out if they had the second anointing? Like they have these people that come out that are very famous that have, Mormon shows. And then they're like, yeah, but I left the church and I had that second anointing and screw all that stuff. And I'm like, but are you really out? It's kind of one of those
It's like
CIA
it was
questions.
like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I worked for the CIA for 20 years of my life,
Right.
and I got all
Now
these
I'm out.
accolades, but yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
I'm
retired. I'm
out.
not in the CIA anymore. That's not a
Mm-mm.
thing.
And I'm always like, maybe they're just doing the Q thing with these people, right? Like, are they? I don't know. I'm not sure. And so but I'm a conspiracy theorist. So that's how I think. So, yeah.
If
Like
you
Tim
get the
Ballard.
second anointing, you're allowed to read all of the bishop's
So,
notes, I assume.
so Huggy Bear, she always makes great comments. She said Tim Ballard got kicked out, but did he? Because he didn't break the murder and he didn't break the apostate law. So is he really out? And you know who grabbed him up? The Catholics did. So,
What did he get excommunicated for, allegedly?
oh, so many things. Oh my gosh. The Underground Railroad thing, you saw that movie. What's it called?
Yeah, the Sound of Freedom, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
That
And
that
so
got him in trouble with the Mormons, the movie did?
I think well, no, he was doing the marriage ruse. You haven't heard all this. This is fantastic. So he was
Mm-mm.
doing the couples ruse with women. And he's like, but we need to make it really legit and be like, we're really married. And I think he liked to play the soaking game. And then
Wait, hold on.
he got
I'm getting lost here. Tim Ballard's gay and he was
no,
using women
not
as
gay.
beards, or okay.
No, he's married and has a whole grip of kids. And he's like, hey, my wife isn't coming, but I'm working for this. This is an undercover sting operation for the CIA or FBI or whatever it was. I can't remember. And you're going to be my wife and we're going to pretend to buy kids. And like the movie said, and so they won't believe you if you're just my wife. You have to really be my wife. You have to do all the things a wife would
Oh,
do.
they got to go and see a bishop, and the bishop's like, now kiss her.
Yeah, well, there was more than kissing, and he got in trouble and got some, court slaps of documents saying women said no and meant it, and apparently Tim just thought, he he was better than that.
He
He
kind
could
of
beat
had to
all.
do. I mean, this is like if you're undercover and you're about to bust a big drug kingpin, and they're like, snort this line real quick. You have to do it, right?
I
Otherwise,
think I think they'd have been okay with the cocaine. It was just the women.
it was the
Yeah. I think the cocaine might have had a pass, but the women thing, because they filed charges and it made a big mess for him. And then they're like, he's doing ketamine treatments and he's saying he's going to be the prophet, and it gets really crazy. We should actually, that one's pretty crazy. But he likes to sue people, so I've been kind of, same thing with the Levitt
Tim
thing.
Ballard likes to sue people.
He does.
Oh well, just nothing but praise for
We're
Tim Ballard
crazy.
here.
Yeah.
He is the absolute. Especially he's Catholic now. Come on, like how
And
much
I'm a
better can you
blonde.
get?
What do I know? Yeah.
Right.
I get I don't know. But yeah, it was bad for them. So yeah, whatever. That's
I'm
why I
iffy on Tim Ballard just because regardless of who he is as a person, the role that he has served so far, by everything I can tell, was that he released that pressure valve a little bit where now like normie people sitting around the dinner table are like, man, isn't it crazy how much trafficking's going on? Someone should really look into this. And then you have a
Yes.
Hollywood movie and you see the movie and you're like, oh, okay, someone's on it, right? The
Right,
Jesus
right.
guy from the Mel
But then they
Gibson
weren't.
movie, he's on it.
Yeah.
He clearly it's on the radar, so I don't have to worry about this anymore, which is sort of dangerous, right? For someone to serve that role, because now people are like, oh, well, there's a movie about it. It's in the media. People are talking. Clearly this is being prosecuted. And meanwhile, the Clinton Foundation opens up like 5 more preschools in Haiti.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly what the situation is. And I mean, it's one of those things where he pulled some amazing tricks with that court case. We should definitely, but like I said, I mean, it's just all alleged. So yeah, he did at least bring some knowledge to the situation, like you said, but it definitely wasn't what he said it was. I don't think he saved anybody, but that's okay. It's a Q release. Like, that's how I feel about it now. And sometimes people will be like, did you see this other movie? And I'm like, yeah, well, it's made by the Mormons, so I'll pass. It's all about Jesus. I'm like, well, I don't know.
Wait, which one are we talking about now?
It's after that one, the Angel Studios made the movie about Jesus. What's it called? Oh my gosh, somebody in the chat.
I don't think I've seen this. I think I
It's
need
like
to see this now.
it's like a whole, it's not even a movie, it's a whole series. It's like a series for Jesus, and it's
Oh,
made
there
by
was
them.
one that I swear it was like Martin Scorsese or someone has also done one that whenever I go and see my parents and they've got like Fox News playing, they'll constantly cut to this mini series. I'm pretty sure
probably that.
it's Martin Scorsese.
Well, it's financed by the Mormons, and it wasn't animated. It's The Chosen. Thank you, Huggy Bear.
The
She's on it
Chosen,
tonight.
and it's not animated. I want to know what the animated one is now.
I think he might be meaning that bad cartoon about how, the fence sitters happened. So
It's not a bad cartoon. It's actually one of the more interesting religious cartoons that I've ever seen.
They didn't make it, but yeah, it was made against them. It was like, want to see what the Mormons think? And then they were like, no, we don't. And then everybody was like, well, yeah.
Wait, is that true? Because I could have sworn that the one that we're talking about, like the 70s or the 80s one, where they're flying in outer space and all that was not made by Mormons. It was made against Mormons.
It was made by an ex-Mormon, and she was Brigham Young's granddaughter. It was made by
That's a serious, but it is not cheap to make a long format animation like that. She put some real money into. She had a huge chip on her shoulder. Clearly,
well, she had backing. Yeah, she's the same one that did the Temple movie that we show, and I can't remember what the Lighthouse Ministries. Did they? Oh, they recently. Oh, I didn't know that one. I didn't know that.
Angel Studios, coming up.
I didn't know that one. The Southport, this is the best. I remember after this one, I was like, is this true? Like, everybody was like, is this true? And they're like, no, don't watch that.
Mormon when that one came out?
Yeah. Yep. And I'm like, this isn't true, right? And they're like, don't watch it.
Was there like a rumbling that people were like talking about it and hushing about it and
Oh,
making
yeah.
everyone ask questions? Really?
Oh, yeah. And they're like, "Don't watch it. It's so bad. You can't watch it." And I'm like, "Okay, I won't watch it." Never. I didn't. I never watched it till I got out. And now that I know everything I know, I'm like, "This is actually really accurate." But yeah.
Is it
It's
even
one
that?
of
I
those.
mean, I know that they sing the dum da dum 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 thing, but
It's absolutely accurate.
I've heard some I think some nuanced interpretations of that, and it's not that the dum da dum 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 what it wasn't necessarily talking about Joseph Smith or talking
No.
about all Mormons. They were talking about the one guy, Martin, whatever,
Yes.
that
His
gets
wife.
swindled
Yeah.
into doing all the things for it, and he's the dum da dum dum dum,
Right. Yep.
right? So and yeah, so
But
South
there
Park
is
Mormon
another part.
episode
There's
of
another
that
part where
episode.
of that episode where he says Joseph Smith was called a prophet. Dum da dum dum dum. So I do know they do make fun of it a little bit there. But yes, the most part was about, yeah, the cohort there and his translator slash funder, right? And then his wife, Lucy. And that's why they say Lucy, smart, smart, smart.
Yeah,
So
I guess that's true. They do the smart, smart, smart.
yeah, smart, smart, smart. Because she took the pages and she's like, "You're gonna not have any problem redoing these because God told you, right? So you'll just talk to him tomorrow." And he's like, "I'll be back." Like he just didn't even. He's like, "You get those pages back." And then yeah, that never happened. Then, but I'll say this for Joseph: he came back and he's like, "Can't do it. God's mad because the pages are gone. And you did that. So now we can never do those pages ever again." And then
This,
he did them from a different perspective. So pretty smart.
I don't know how accurate this is, but it seems to me that cartoons have done more damage to Mormonism than like the Meadow Mountain Massacre revelations have, right?
I mean, until recently, I would agree. Yeah, that's this new movie. The Primeval did a little number on them, but yeah, I think for the most part, I think it was so out there. You have to remember they never told us about the hat. They never told us about the stone. So when we see this stuff, we were just like, this is insane. Do you see this insane stuff? And then people started looking it up and they're like, oh crap, this is wow. And so that's why I think the prophet just took the hat out and was like, "Doo-doo-doo, look, here it is. Cold storage, got the hat." And then they're just like, "And what?" And that's what they do sometimes. They do this little
Yeah,
pre-gaming
do
and I'm
something
like,
about it. We got the hat now. What? It's always been here.
"What?"
Let's say
Yeah, and
something.
I was like, that isn't real. They said it wasn't real and then they're just like, "Yeah, well, here it is." And they do this whole photo op with it and you're just like, what is happening right now? Am I in a different timeline? Like, what happened? You know, and you're just, yeah, it was like that for me. Even as an ex Mormon, when I saw that picture, I was like, what? They have the hat? What is going on? Oh,
I
yeah.
really hope that Matt Parker and Trey Stone, that's their names, right? Sometimes I mix the last names up. The South Park guys
Oh,
need
right.
to do like a vagina dialogues, but it's basically like a nude reenactment of the Joseph Smith prophecy. So you got like a naked lady that's putting on like looking into the hat, like doing
Oh
all of
my
the
gosh.
things, right?
It's so funny. Well, and I mean, like we've spoken about many, many times, they'll never run out of content. So Mormons are the gift that keep on giving permanently, so they could just do that forever if they really wanted to, you
Well, there
know?
was the South Park show, and then they did the Book of Mormon
Oh,
musical.
yes, the Book of
And then
Mormon musical.
also to look up I think it's called Cannibal the Musical, which was maybe my first. I didn't even know what I was watching when I first saw this.
What is it? Cannibal?
It's called Cannibal the Musical, and I believe
Oh,
it was about Mormons crossing the Oregon Trail, and it was not the Donner Party. It was like
oh, okay.
another smaller group that was kind of like the Donner Party, but that one
Oh.
was also all about Mormons. So like they've
Mm.
kind of had this fascination with Mormons since forever, since before they even started doing South Park.
Oh, wow, I did not know that. I did not, and I didn't know that they're mad right now. Look at this. There's a huge dust up on X right now with Andrew Wilson and the Mormons are big mad. Ooh,
Who's
that's
who's
actually
Andrew
funny.
Wilson?
Huggy Bear. I don't know. Who's Andrew Wilson, Huggy? But that's funny. Anytime they have some big person that they're really mad at, you have to know why, because it's usually something pretty bad. Like the
What
South Park thing.
what's a mad Mormon look like?
Well, there's a lot of shunning if you're, and a lot of double speak. We'll say it that way. Like, nope, that's not true. That he didn't have that white hat, that black hat, and then secretly they're like, it was white. Like they'll just argue with you about the smallest detail that you got wrong, but you could be totally right. But if they get one thing wrong, that's why I always do slideshows, because I'm like, here it is. Ta-da! Because yeah, I know how it is. I was one, and I would tell you the same thing. I'm like, you're crazy. So yeah, I was like that. And they are really nice. And that is why I do this show. People always say, you just diss on the Mormons all the time. You just must hate the Mormons, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, actually, most of my family is still Mormon. And I don't like that they are deceived. And I feel like as I've told Thomas many a times, they should just be honest and say they're a magical order. And I bet their numbers would go up, and then let the people at least know, and I'll shut up. Be fine.
I'm on board with that. You already know my stance on this, that if they bring back the planets and the
Right.
magical stones and the Urim and Thummim and all of the cool sort of like grimoire stuff, then that's cooler. That's a way cooler version of Mormons than the ones that we got now. And I think it was when Jacob was on recently, Jacob Isbell,
Yes,
and
yes.
he also, and you had this same opinion, which I think is fascinating, that there was a very you can almost put your finger on the like a date on a calendar. It's like, and this is when they went from being like rugged cowboys to these like clean cut, sort of like mayonnaise eating, no coke
Yes.
drinking people. And it was all a PR rework. It was just, the like our look is not that great. We need to
Right.
do a complete 180. And it was so successful that now people are making fun of Mormons for how bland and plain Jane they are. But if this were
That
100
wasn't
years
back in the
ago,
day.
you'd be
Yeah.
saying like those ruthless, horrible murderers, right?
Yeah. Well, and George, I can almost pinpoint the time frame. George A. Smith was the first one after Brigham. Now things were changing and getting more corporatized under Brigham, but George A. Smith was the first one where, and he's related to Joseph, where he was like, I'm gonna go do secret society. All the Rotary Club, go to college, he was a businessman, and it showed, and he kind of reworked that. And then after him, you don't see those rugged. I mean, not saying there isn't rugged cowboy Mormons in Montana somewhere or something, but there's definitely a big, huge change to the suit and tie, no beards, shaven face, white shirt, all that. It changed. No,
Well, even the rugged
none of
ones
that.
are not going to scalp you like they would have 100 years
Right.
ago.
Right. Nope. Because it's changed. You're 100% right. And then they started talking like girls and crossing their legs too tight. And I don't know, maybe that changes things. But
Man,
yeah.
there's that declining birth rate right there.
Yeah, exactly. Too tight. Too tight. You can't sit like
Well,
that.
look, we need you to act kind of gay, but not that gay. Like,
I know. Sometimes I'm like, I'm a girl and I'm concerned about your medical health right now. That does not look comfortable. But like honestly, and they started doing, and then the CIA comes in, and Howard Hughes, and the church was failing until 1963. Failing, okay? Right as Howard Hughes is not in power anymore, and the Mormon Mafia clearly is. In 1964, they appoint a new guy to be over everything from Canada. And they're like, you need to take over everything and clean it up because we're going to go bankrupt. And all of a sudden, within a year, everything was fine. Everything was fine. But guess when that year was? Watergate. And guess who was involved with that? Bob Bennett. He was a Mormon. And I swear to you, people, that he took the hit for the church. And probably no one will ever know this, but he was definitely involved in the Mullen Company, and he was the one that was purchaser of it. And it was a shell company, wasn't real, and it was a CIA front. And I honestly believe that he helped the church somehow, because this guy from Canada just said, we tightened up the building fund. That's all. What?
I mean, this might sound silly. I never even considered there's Mormons in Canada too. Sometimes I just forget
Oh, yeah.
Canada exist. But I mean, if this all started in upstate New York and mostly in like the northern territories, right? Then you've probably got a lot of Mormon, probably more in Canada than in Mexico, no?
Oh, so many. They have, and in Wisconsin, they have their own branch, which I'm going to have coming out on Sunday. The Strangs, and funny enough, right in the middle of our, like, I'm recording it. I'm like, I'm going to look up if I'm related to these people because this guy was like an outlaw and he's like doing his own thing and he started his own. He had a rock too, and God talked to him also, and blah blah blah. And he takes off and goes to Wisconsin, and I'm like, I wonder if I'm related to them because my grandma's related to everybody, not my grandma. My unruly, crazy grandpa that never thought he was any kind of Mormon. Yep, he was. He came from that family. And I laughed so bad. Yes, on the gemstone file. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Remind me
Onassis
the
is
gemstone
all
file?
over this. Yes. So it's huge and it's supposedly a lie. But yes, I am the gemstone file. It makes so much sense when you look at it, and it's a big, huge. We'd have to do a whole, and we can because I'm prepping for it, which is why I'm Onassis crazy right now. But yeah, 100%.
Oh,
I
this
think
links
that
to Onassis.
it definitely does. And Jackie, when she
Okay.
went to work for, she went to work eventually for publishing, when she was on her own, doing her own thing. Well, guess what? The publishing company guy that she worked with, that she took pictures with on New Year's Eve and toasting and everything, big fat Mormon. He wasn't fat, but just, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Yeah.
That is
Always there.
another fun. I mean, you talk about gemstone and Onassis. Just a fun fact that I found out recently that Onassis's yacht, I think it was called Christine, named
So
after
cool.
his
The
daughter,
Christina.
the
Yes.
Christina. The bar in the Christina was
Mhm.
filled with carved whale teeth that had pornographic scenes from the Odyssey in it, and all
Yes.
of the bar stools were made out of whale foreskin.
And then the girl that he tried to embarrass, I can't remember which movie star it was. He told her this and she just sat there for a
Yeah.
minute and she goes, "Oh, you found Moby's dick?"
Is
I
that a
laughed so
quote from
bad.
somewhere? Really?
Oh my god. Yeah, I'll find out which movie star it was. I think it was Greta Garbo. And they said she was gonna be like all embarrassed and she wasn't at all, and she just laughed. She thought it was funny. They tried to like make her feel embarrassed and she wasn't at all. She was like, softest seats I've ever sat on." She was like
That whole
making
whale
jokes. Oh
foreskin,
my
yeah.
gosh. I was like, this is hysterical. Yeah, no, there's some good stuff on Onassis, man. He knew some things. You should check out the symbol for the Onassis Foundation and then look at the Vatican and then look at the new temple plans. They're
Right, and he
pretty.
was buried in Jerusalem, I think. So, like, there's
Well,
definitely some deep religious ties into the Onassis family, and, yeah, I actually have been going a little because the Howard Hughes
it's
thing,
crazy.
clearly the JFK is what makes it interesting to me because it's
Oh,
tangential to,
interesting.
like, he had always been preying on Jackie, and then he
Yes.
ends up getting Jackie throughout the course of all that, but
Mhm.
the thread of following the yacht ownership and who and he died on that, I think, didn't he? He die on his ship? Maybe not.
So
I might be
I
thinking
know
about
he was
Maxwell.
buried on his island with his kids. His son and then his daughter died after that in a bathtub, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'm like, oh, this is so good. No. But with Jackie, they say that if you kill somebody and you're a mobster, you get their girl and their stuff. And so then he gets Jackie, and I'm like, but funny part about Jackie is she's not got her hands clean. I did a whole episode on her, and her writing instructor when she was 8 to 9 years old, this is in her book. Guess who it was? You're going to die. It's George Morenshield.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because George the Mornshill used to brag about how Jackie
Yes.
would sit on his knee as
Yes.
a kid before JFK was
Uncle
even in the
George.
picture. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uncle George. And I was like, this is too much. Like, this is a whole plan. This is,
Well, I mean,
no.
I've man, it's a topic that will never die for me, JFK
I
assassination.
love it. Yeah. I'm such a dork now.
And well, but the interesting thing, and I was reading a bunch of Tracy Twyman stuff recently, and she goes real deep on this in her Minnie Mouse special. Like there's like a slideshow and there's a video, but in the Minnie Mouse thing, shout out to David Charles Play from Sing Tank to put me onto this. But she makes
Ooh.
such a very good, cohesive, and compelling case that JFK was really just supposed to be another criminal that was put into the position of president, and they surrounded him with all sorts of prostitutes and blackmail operations and just the things that you normally do, and expected him to play ball along with every other criminal that had ever been in that position. And I mean, I don't know morally like the judgment
He's
call, but
bad.
he was
Yeah.
not playing ball the way that they wanted him to play ball, and he was maybe hip to some of the blackmail, but still was participating in it, if you believe some of the crazy Hollywood stories that were going on. But he decided that, like, no, I'm not going to be seen with Frank Sinatra, and I'm not going to be seen with all these other Rat Pack style
Yes.
gangsters. And that was the turning point. That was when people started realizing maybe we don't have them as under our thumb as we thought we did.
Oh, he really pissed off Sinatra. He went to Bing Crosby's house instead and made him go bananas. It's a whole thing. And I'll
I
tell you
read
guys,
another one too that when Sammy Davis Jr. wanted to marry a black lady, JFK said no because it was like
oh,
it wasn't the right look at the time, and then he quickly ends up, or no, he wanted to marry a white lady. I mean, that he was gonna marry a white lady.
oh,
JFK personally was like, no, oh no, you're not, and then they gave him like a timeline, like you better get married to a black chick very soon, and he immediately did. So I
he's
mean,
like,
I don't
all
know how true
right.
that is. That was something from Twyman's writing, but it
Oh my
kind of sounds
gosh.
like he was still a guy in the guys club. He just didn't play the same rules as everyone else did.
Yeah, I think he wanted more control. And, he wasn't supposed to have that position. It was supposed to be his brother. And then the brother died. And,
Mhm.
so it was a whole situation. And the thing about JFK is people don't realize how absolutely intelligent he was because he was sick so much as a kid. And he had Addison's disease and he had all these problems. So he was always reading when he was in the hospital. And his dad never really did what he did with the older one because he was like, he's defective and Bobby was short. That was like his thing. He was like, he's a wimp and this one's sick, so we're just going with the oldest one and we'll just keep popping out some more just in case. And like he wasn't really. That's why when Bobby became like on the level he was and how like unscrupulous and like totally like cutthroat Bobby could be, it was because he was like, I'm going to show you how big I can be. Like he had short man syndrome bad, you know.
Which I
So
actually hadn't heard that before, that JFK was smarter than the others because of that. I've actually heard the opposite, but I think it was more like kind of tongue in cheek, like they're playing around, but that later in JFK's life, specifically like up to the day he died, but that there were concerns that he had a syphilitic brain, that all of the different Hollywood stars he was banging, that he had untreated
I
syphilis, or
mean,
he had
by
syphilis so
then,
bad
maybe.
that it
Yeah.
actually affected his brain function, which is a real thing. If you go back in history, this is
No,
a
it is.
syphilitic
Al
brain is
Capone had it.
possible.
Al Capone had syphilis, and so did Howard Hughes, to the brain. And so all of these people
Howard,
that
oh,
got
okay,
it.
I didn't know that. Howard Hughes had,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. Yep, and that's why he got really weird too. Not with I mean, he got even more weird later, but he got weird about like being with a woman all the way because I think he knew that he wasn't trying to spread it around is what they said. And so he was really weird about it until later he would date all the time, but just all these women didn't get to be with him, only select few after a certain time frame. And I did hear that about JFK too on the brain stuff, but also he got bad addicted from what I've read anyway to shots like pain shots, and they were hyping him up, and so who even knows at this point. But you know it wasn't. I mean, when we get into shots and the gemstone file, you're going to want to check that out because, and the opal file, there's like these files that are crazy bananas. And I've been going through the CIA docs and they're not 100% unfounded. That's all I'm
Okay.
gonna say right now.
Well, this sounds fun. So we've got gem files and opal files, and also this new cult, which is the Church of the Lamb of
Yes.
God, I think. We've got
Ooh.
some Canadian Mormon cults that we can get into.
Oh, yeah.
I do think it's going to get darker from here. This was the one light episode, and then it's going to be lots of murder and horrible things from this way
Heavy
forward.
petting was fun, but we're moving on to murder, guys.
Right. It went from heavy petting to soaking to syphilitic brain disorder, and
That's
then we're
what
gonna go into
happens.
murder.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Oh my gosh, that's
Well,
so
what
funny.
do you have coming up for people to look out for?
Absolutely. I am doing a new piece on Onassis. I just did Jackie, and people got mad at me because it wasn't painting her in the beautiful light she had been in, but it is all 100% documented with books. And I made sure to put them on there so that people knew what I was talking about. And then I think the Gemstone File will be a new one, and also his nemesis Starveros. So I'm going to get heavy deep into that because I can't leave it alone. It's like the one thing I never cared about, and now I can't leave it alone. So you're right about JFK. It's maddening.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's kind of a weird thing because JFK was always referred to as that event where it's like I remember exactly where I was when I heard that JFK died, and
Right.
I've never had one of those. I haven't been through like I've brought it before, but when 9/11 happened, I was in boot camp and they didn't even tell me about it for 2 weeks. So to me, JFK is just as relevant as 9/11 is because both of them I wasn't around for. So,
I was not. Yeah, I was
and they're
not
kind of the same
fascinated.
thing.
Yeah, I was never fascinated with it, and I never got into the whole like the grassy knoll and the shooter. I'm like, yeah, they freaking is probably the mob, and it's like 4 or 5 people. Who cares? They killed him. Like I was just like, I believe there's a conspiracy, 100%.
But
But that
you
was it.
zoom out and you're like, oh, like 400 people wanted to kill him. This is interesting.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I had no idea how far deep down I would go, and now I know so much. Like this last month, I've been so deep in books with Onassis that I'm like, whoa. And I mean, it just keeps going. Like, I mean, they killed off his daughter, died, her heart gave out from diet pills in a bathtub. Okay, at 37, get the heck out of here. No way. No, in the bathtub.
right, and there's publishing connections. There's also all sorts of import, export, shipping connections.
Yes.
And when you look into import, like what was being
Argentina.
imported and exported, I'm sure it was more than just Levi's jeans, right?
They said it
People
was,
and drugs
yeah,
and who knows what
drugs.
else.
Yeah, they say it's heroin. And also that he was basically running the United States at one point. This is what they're saying about Onassis.
Yeah, well, he would take the Christina out into New York Harbor and live on
Yes.
his yacht and
So they
affect
couldn't find him.
yeah, and then he would affect like national law because of his influence, but he wouldn't actually set foot into the country. But he would send his minions and his kids out to do some of his like bidding
Oh,
for
yeah.
him. It's a wild, wild story about
It
Onassis.
is. It is. And crazy enough, did you see the image in his swimming pool? And then I'll stop it. But he is got a bullfighter with a bull in the swimming pool. And then he has, it's fascinating just some of the stuff that he has all over. It's almost like he was like, yeah, I'm fighting all of you. Like, yeah, I know. And he was just such a like, I don't know, until they killed his son, and I do believe they killed his son because of the switch of the pole on the plane, and you'll get there if you've seen it. But until then, he was like in it to literally win it, and he did not give a crap, even if he got arrested, which he did. So it was pretty funny. It's great. Yeah, he's a good one. You got to go down that road of that Gemstone File. I'm telling you right now.
Well, we're gonna do it. We're gonna go into
Yes.
all that and even more on future episodes. And who knows if the next Mormon Monday is gonna be on a Monday or a Friday? You gotta subscribe and just know. I mean, we didn't even know we were gonna be doing this one until last minute, and that's how they might be. But yeah,
Yep.
all the more reason
We'll
to
be
be
here.
on Patreon
Yeah.
and on the YouTube and on the Twitter and all that stuff. I've got both of our links down below. So if you want to hear more about Mormon hanky panky and soaking and shaking and syphilitic brain disease, you know where to go.
So funny. That's right. Have a good one, guys. Bye.
See you guys.
Paranoid. Yo.
scribble my life away, driven to write the page. Will it enlighten your brain, give you the flight? My plane paper, the highs ablaze. Somewhat of an amazing feel when it's real to real. You will engage it. Your favorite, of course, the Lord of an arrangement. I gave you the proper results to hit the pavement. If they get emotional, hate maybe your language, a game, how they playing it well without Lakers. Evade them, whatever the cost, they are the shapeshift. Snakes get decapitated, met is the apex. Execution to flame you out, nuclear bomb distributed at war, rather gruesome for eyes to see. Max them out, then I light my trees. Blow it off in the face, you're despising me for what though? Calculated and rather cutthroat. Paranoid American must be all the blood smoke for real. Lord, give me a day away, vacate. They wait around to hate whatever they say. Matters not in the least bit. We get heavy rotate when the beat hits, so thank us, you're welcome. Fuck the niggas for real, you're welcome. They ain't never had a deal, you're welcome. Man, they lacking appeal, you're welcome. Yet they doing it still, you're welcome.